solutions. Your lab 8 is based on the topic solutions. What is a solution? It is a homogeneous mixture that contains small particles. Homogeneous, basically homogeneous means uniform throughout. And any phase of matter can form the solutions. For example, solid in liquid, liquid in liquid, gas in gas, solid in gas, liquid in gas. As long as they are uniform throughout, it's a homogeneous mixture or a solution. For example, air is a mixture of gases. You cannot see them separately. Air is a solution. It's a homogeneous mixture. That IV saline solution, the salt is completely dissolved in water, and that's a solution. So now when we make a solution, let's say if I'm making a solution and I put water and I put a pinch of salt in it, then the substance that is present in the lesser amount is the solute, and the substance that's present in the larger amount, in this case water, is called the solvent. And if you are using water as the solvent, then we call it as an aqueous solution. For example, if I say NaCl and it's written AQ in parentheses, that means I took solid NaCl, put it in the water, and made the solution of salt in the water. Now, solutions can be electrolytes. So what does that mean? A solute, when dissolves in water, that's what we are doing. We are dissolving solute in the water. If it can form the ions, then it can conduct the electric current. Whereas a solute that contains only neutral molecules does not. So the point is, what are electrolytes? A substance that conducts an electric current in water is called an electrolyte. A substance that does not conduct an electric current in water is a non-electrolyte. So when we are classifying them as strong electrolytes, weak electrolytes, or non-electrolytes, strong electrolyte means, for example, sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is a strong electrolyte. Why? When you put it in the water, it dissociates completely, 100%, to form the ions, and that's what it is. The flow of ions is the electric current. Weak electrolyte, let's say the case of ammonia. When you put ammonia in the water, yes, it breaks down to form the ions, but just a fraction of it, but just a fraction. We still have the whole intact ammonia present. It makes these ions, but we have a lot of ammonia still there. So yes, it's a electrolyte, but it's a weak electrolyte. On the other hand, let's take, for example, glucose or alcohol or hydrogen peroxide. When you put them in the water, they do not break down to form the ions at all. So that means there are no ions present. So that means these are non-electrolytes. Now, what is the solubility? We are talking about the solution in the solvent. So how much solute can be dissolved in a given solvent? So it is the amount of solute that dissolves in a given amount of solvent, and we usually report that in grams of solute per 100 ml. That's the most commonly used method. When you are putting sodium chloride, let's take the case of salt. When you're putting salt in the water, it's not that you can keep adding salt and it will keep dissolving it. Yes, you can dissolve it, but then after a while it's going to stop dissolving it. So, and For example, the solubility of salt in water is 35 grams per 100 ml at room temperature. So let's say at 25 degrees Celsius. That means the maximum amount of salt that you can dissolve in 100 milliliter of water is 35 grams. If you have 35 grams or less than 35 grams, you call the solution unsaturated. But if you go even a slightly above 35, which is even 35.0001, then your solution is saturated, because that extra added one is, you will be able to see that particle in the solution. At that time we say the solution is saturated. Now we are mostly going to talk about the solvent as water in this chapter. So this is very important, that like dissolves like means all ionic compounds and small polar compounds that can hydrogen bond are polar and they are soluble in water. Why? Because the water is polar. Non-polar compounds dissolve in non-polar solvents and they are insoluble in water but soluble in non-polar. So simply what it means, polar solute dissolves in polar solvents, non-polar solute dissolves in non-polar solvent. Since non-polar solvents, since water is highly polar, so if my solute is a polar compound, it will dissolve in water. And all ionic compounds, I should say most of the ionic compounds are highly polar. So that means most of the ionic compounds will dissolve in the water. So let's look at this. KCl. KCl is an ionic compound, metal, non-metal. So will it be soluble in water? Yes. Ionic compounds are highly polar. So yes, it will be soluble in water. So we say yes. Methanol. In the case of methanol, you can see that the hydrogen is attached to the oxygen. Hydrogen-oxygen bond is a polar bond, and not only that, it can make a hydrogen bond with the water. So yes, it is soluble in water because it comes in this category. Hexane. Any compound that you see class that has only carbon and hydrogens only, and since carbon-hydrogen bond is a non-polar bond, then means it is not going to be soluble in water. Now, as we said that ionic compounds, they are highly polar. Most of the ionic compounds are soluble in water, but still there are some exceptions. Some of the ionic compounds are not soluble in water, or they are slightly soluble. And the reason for that is when the solid is formed, there is an attraction between the ions. If that attraction between the ions is stronger than the forces of attraction between the ions and the water, then the water ionic compound does not dissolve. So the point is, what you need to know is which ones are soluble, which ionic compounds are soluble and which ones are not. You can just look at this solubility of ionic compound chart and that will explain you. And this chart will not be given in the test, but you can always write it on your note card. So if you look here, it says compounds containing any compound that contain nitrate anion. Remember, negatively charged ones are called anions. If any compound contain nitrate ion is soluble in water, there are no exceptions. So then, is silver nitrate here is soluble in water? Yes, it has nitrate, and with nitrate we do not have any exceptions. All compounds containing acetates are soluble in water, no exceptions. That means this potassium acetate is soluble in water. Chlorides, bromides and iodides, they are soluble in water except if they are with silver, mercury or lead ions. So here my chloride is with ammonium Ammonium is not in the exception, so it is soluble. Look here, iodide is with silver. Silver is an exception, so this is not soluble. Sulfates, all sulfates are soluble except if they are with strontium, barium, mercury or lead ions. So here if you look here, sulfate is with calcium. Calcium is not in the exception, so that means it is soluble in water. Now in this chart, the second table, what we are saying is all these anions are insoluble in water, and these are the exceptions, means if these are present, then the ionic compound will be soluble. This is opposite. So all sulfides are insoluble except if they are with ammonium, alkali metals. What are alkali metals? First A group elements, and these ions, then it will be soluble. So let's look at this magnesium sulfide. Sulfide is with magnesium. Is magnesium here in this list? No. That means it will be insoluble. So I will say no because it is insoluble. The question is which ones are soluble. Circle the, okay. So this one is, circle the compounds that are insoluble in water. So this was insoluble and now this one is insoluble. And let's not circle this one because this is soluble in water. All right, so let's go. What they say here, carbonates, phosphates are insoluble except with these ions. So let's look here. Carbonates are insoluble. Is magnesium here in the list? No. That means this will be insoluble. Aluminum phosphate. Phosphate is here. Phosphates are insoluble except with these ions. Is aluminum there? No. That means this is insoluble. Hydroxides, this is the one. So hydroxides, they are insoluble. They are soluble only with these ions. Is barium there? Yes, barium is there. So that means this will be soluble. So I cannot circle it. Now solubility changes if you are changing the temperature or pressure. That means solubility, the temperature and pressure has an effect on the solubility of a compound. So here for most ionic and molecular solids, solubility increases as the temperature increases because the molecules are colliding, they're moving faster and it dissolves. NaCl, you are dissolving water, you start heating the water, you can dissolve more. So this is very important that in the first case, I'm talking about the solubility of solids in liquids. And we are saying that solubility of solids in liquid increases as temperature increases. But if we talk about the solubility of a gas in a liquid, then it is opposite. It will decrease with the increase in temperature. So the solubility of the gases decreases with increasing temperature. Now, why? Because when you are increasing the temperature, you are increasing the kinetic energy of the gas molecules, and then so it's not that they will be more soluble in water or more soluble in the solvent because they want to leave the surface. What is the effect of pressure? Now, there is no effect on the solubility of solids and liquids because solids and liquids really do not have any pressure effect. But if we are talking about the pressure effect in the case of a gas, then we use this Henry's law that the solubility of a gas in a liquid, again you can think about the soda can. What is in the soda can? You have all this liquid and carbon dioxide gas on the surface. So solubility of a gas in a liquid is proportional to the partial pressure of the gas. What it means? It means if you increase the pressure of the gas, then the solubility also increases. So if I'm putting the pressure on the gas, then this gas will be more soluble in the solvent.